live here from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or catching the replay later. Thank you for tuning in. We are thrilled to have you today's session, Beyond Automation, Building Enterprise AI Agents with IBM Watson Orchestrate, where we'll explore how business are moving beyond chatbots and workflows into the new era of agentic AI. Octane Software Solutions. We are a multi-award winning IBM business partner. Earlier in the year, we won the prestigious Partner Plus Geography Award for automation, and at Tech Exchange, we were the finalists, showcasing our agentic AI capabilities. We nearly have around 9,000 hours of innovative project experience and over 100 plus successful deployments. And it's all thanks to the champion founder and the talent pool. The company led by Amendra Prasad 9 years ago, setting the foundations and expanding the team to the IBM champions. And here are some of our happy customers. Now, to set the context today, I've been in conversations with Gartner last week, and we also had a look at what McKinsey had to come up with in terms of their coaching and guidance to the CIOs. So what's very evident is the business landscape is shifting fast, and 2026 belong to the leaders who turn AI promise into enterprise performance. Now, according to Gartner's 2026 CIO and Technology Executive Agenda, the main message is pivot and reprioritization, not the annual cycles, because that's going to dominate in 2026. Across the industries, they have seen 64% of CIOs plan to deploy agentic AI in the next 12 to 24 months, not as experiments, but business accelerators for cost efficiency, productivity, and innovation. At the same time, McKinsey's Agent for Growth research shows that AI-driven personalization can increase revenue. Now, human-agent collaboration is adaptive and it improves decision-making speed. Clear KPIs for AI agents turn automation into measurable impacts. And the most successful organizations build agentic ecosystem where agents execute and human strategizes. Now, together, these insights reveal one truth. Agentic AI isn't about more tools, it's about smarter outcomes. Now, how have Octane been doing this? Let's look at McKinsey's point number one. Think value, not agents. We have absolutely delivered this for one of our airline customers. As you can see, in a short span of time, we were able to take back and bring efficiency gains close enough to 99% and ROIs equating to 60%. Let's look at reimagining workflows and not tasks. When we met and had discussions with this media company, we were able to look at how the process behind the report generation for the board and the CEO, and we were able to help and bring efficiency gains around 98%. So the human agent collaboration, we could see that being adaptive. And later in the conversations, you'll get more details around it. And to the last point from McKinsey, I wanted to talk about building the agentic organization. When you work and bring value, when you build it into your ecosystem and you become a change agent. And that's how, when we worked with Dylan, we were able to bring in that experience for the entire organizations, where agents execute, human strategizes and oversees. For today's context and this webinar, let me go back to what I've showcased before. So this year has gone from interesting to inevitable. Gartner says 2026 will be the real turning point. In their coaching to CIOs, they were talking about the 64% that I was talking about. And also they were talking about shifting from pilots to ROI. And that's exactly what we are going to discuss today. How enterprise-grade agentic AI systems like that IBM has come up with helps leaders not just automating work, but orchestrating decisions, actions, collaborations across finance, HR, and IT. Now, I understand everyone is time poor. If you're short of time and want to find answers to these questions and more, please scan the QR code and book your AI sessions with us. I'm Stanley Sebastian from Octane Solutions, and I lead the AI initiative at Octane. And today, you will discover how IBM's multi-agent orchestration platform can transform your organization into a digital workforce of autonomous, secure, and aligned into your business goals. Whether you are a CIO, CFO, or an innovation leader, this session will help you understand to shift from experimentation to ROI. Unify your enterprise data systems under intelligent automation, build agent that thinks, plan, and act. So let's dive in. Joining me today is Jay Subramaniam, IBM's data and AI technical subject matter expert for Asia Pacific, who will take us through a deep dive into IBM's agentic AI platform, showing how agentic AI can empower your teams and not replace them. Subbu, over to you.
Thank you, Sami, for that wonderful instruction to explain with how we can drive the value around Orchestrate as a platform or even agentic AI in general with solid use cases that have been put through with respect to each of the paradigms that you had explained. So, thank you so much for a great introduction. I'm Subramanian. I lead the technology for APAC for WatsonX Orchestrate. So feel free to call me Subbu throughout this particular session if there are any questions around Orchestrate. Moving on to the next slide, which would be how we are looking at the evolution of the AI agent as a platform to uh, to make sure that we have a solid value that is being given out. We started with like the entire operations of how your use cases around LLM started with is we always had a prediction of the next token, which is what LLM does its best, right? You give context that what day is today. It'll just go and answer that today is Tuesday, right? That's where LLM shines the best. Now, from the next word prediction or a text generation or like a pattern matching, it went from there to a world of assistance where from a set of trained data outcome, it gave actions that were associated with the particular context that you as a user were putting in. Which means that let's say I want to apply for a leave on 20th of November, it would LLM would interpret that you would want to do something and it finds out the word leave in it and it goes to the appropriate tool and acts upon, say, for example, success factors or workday or anything. It asks for that. From there, it came to the evolution of agents. So fundamentally, agents and assistants pretty much do the invocation of actions, right? But what makes agents different is its complex runtime evaluation of how it can think, plan, act, and observe this kind of a loop. So technically, you are not just looking at executing whatever that you want to do, you're also looking at the option of how you can explore each of these aspects. So for example, if you want to apply for a leave, it could look for what kind of leave do you want to apply for. It would look for if you are applying for too much sick leaves in a month, it could even extend that particular runtime to give you advice on if you're not feeling healthy, what can we as an organization do to help you with some of the medical aspects or some of the counseling aspects that you may want to take care. So rather than just executing the agents or AI agents with this very straightforward but albeit complex think, plan, act, and observe kind of a loop, it is going to give you a very detail oriented multiple options built upon a decision tree, which we all from technology will be familiar about, to give you different diverse options of how you would want to fine tune the behavior that you want. Moving on to the next one, please, Steny. You are now looking at options that are available which are within the agentic ecosystem itself. So the plan, execute, and reflect is not going anywhere out of your control, but it is looking at the very life cycle or very ecosystem that you have with the agents, which are the knowledge, tool set, as well as the behavior of these agents, which is connected to how the agents execute it. Thinking about what we are building here, right? We are building a very autonomous ecosystem of connected applications, right? It could be a knowledge, it could be a tool set, it could be a behavior, or it could be anything which is connected to the agentic ecosystem, which gives the diverse set of capabilities to the agent to plan, think, and act. Technically, the plan, think, and act is nothing but your agent looking for multiple options to give you the most suited answer. It is that simple. But the technology behind it's significantly complex, that it needs to evaluate multiple criteria. It has to go through a certain scoring mechanism. It needs to go through a specific execution mechanism. It needs to filter up and pop up the right set of answers that you would be wanting to see, and subsequently see how you as an end user would be bothered about the answer that you're getting is correct or not. So 2 points to be taken away from this slide: agent is an autonomous system. Two, the autonomy comes from the execute, plan, and reflect kind of an action loop, which is very much poised within your ecosystem of knowledge, toolset, behavior, as well as guidelines. Moving on to the next one. Now, this is another way to look at it. So, how you are evaluating the maturity of an orchestration, right? You could start with a very basic automation, just like how Steny was mentioning at the beginning, right? You starting from an automation to moving into a multi-agent orchestration, which has this additional layer of autonomy, which has this additional layer of intelligence, which has this additional layer of control over you as an end user getting the results by looking all the related tools or the all related set of agents or all the related set of instructions that you have provided. You started with a basic automation, which is kind of point to point execution of step A, step B, step C, etc. And with the automation, you infused Gen AI. Gen AI based automation is has been one of the stronger points with many organizations has benefited from. Then it came from a non-deterministic workflow. So from a structured approach, now we are shifting to a non-deterministic approach. And from the non-structured approach, we were now looking at a multi-agent orchestration, which is a mixed bag of both. Because again, if you look at the previous option that we said, which was an autonomy there, from that autonomy that we are giving or that we are giving to these particular workflows, you are now looking at a decision capability of when the agent would want to look for a structured approach versus a non-structured approach, which is going to be reliant upon the way that you want the agent to behave on. And with this, right, you would always would have this particular question of how can I realize the value? Because that's where Steny started with. Realizing the value is going to be one key aspect that every single organization is going to be looking at. In my experience, or this is something that I have seen, that there are, for example, if I wish to quote a customer that I interacted with, there were close to 150 to 160 agents that this particular customer was using inside their organization. The sad part was majority of these agents, that AI agents that this particular customer was using, still stood in silos, which is very the project initiative level is. So a classic example, Steny might be using a bot to uh, transcript the meetings that he should be attending about, right? It make things simpler. It stays in the background. At the end of that meeting, you get a summary of what that it is. It makes it very simpler for you to act upon later. Where does that sit? Would that sit in the would that sit at an organizational level? No, it sits at a personal level or a project level or an initiative level. I have a personal bot which actually helps me put the posts up in LinkedIn. Right, I'm not rolling that out to the organization. Neither organization is going to take care of it. The second, where the program or the domain level is more associated by a word of mouth. When I see that Steny is using it, he could have like a word of information with me that, okay, boss, okay, mate, I found this particular tool which is very useful to me to help me summarize this. So why don't you give a try about it? So by this word of mouth or by the results that you are seeing at an individual level, it gets rolled out to a program or a domain level. So now everyone in the sales organization is using it. Everyone in the HR organization is using it. But that still is not solving the problem of how you're operating in silos, right? So technically, from a project or an initiative level, you take it to a program or an organization or a domain program or a department or a domain level. From there, when the organization is realizing that there could be a value that could be driven out of it, that is where you have to have the organization invest in the right set of AI tools, right set of technologies, and the right set of operational drivers, enablers to get your value out there. So scaling of focused pilots is where you start with. Focused pilot, as in there is a use case that is associated with it, there is a real business value that we have been seeing, and subsequently you take that to an organizational level, which would make you as an AI enabled organizational transformation. That is exactly what we are going to discuss today. Off to the next slide.
So just I have a quick question, if I
Right.
may.
Right.
Yeah, for everyone's benefit, I'll pop it over here. So now we are talking about, you know, going in from one to the departments, moving up the enterprise. Now, I want to talk about the barriers to scaling, right? So
Hmm.
Gartner notes it's so true. Only 26% of organizations have actually scaled their AI initiatives. Now, do you
Correct.
think the main bottleneck is governance security, or is it a culture readiness? Because that's what I see in IBM's
Hmm.
agentic AI platform. It's a
Right.
bridge to bring companies move faster with guardrails in place.
Yes. So, to fundamentally say, I would say it's a mix of both. Because when it comes to looking at how you are defining and executing these particular agents, right? When I started this AI journey, governance was always an afterthought. But now I'm seeing the governance as a layer that is coming in as like a very fundamental sign up that every single builder users would have to do if they want to scale up to a larger part of the organization. Secondly, when it comes to the modular architecture, the classic problem always exists. I don't know what you are doing, right? So that is where a platform like Orchestrate can help in transferring the context. That is where a platform like Orchestrate can help in how you manage each of the tools, the agents, the knowledge, whatever that is prevalent in this particular ecosystem, which is going to add more value to what you want to build at an enterprise level. So it's I would say both are attributing to how you have the current barrier. Uh, this particular point of siloing, getting the agents deployed in silos or wherever people don't know what is happening with your neighbor is what actually is driving more problems with respect to taking that from a modular to an enterprise-wide experience.
Thank you, Sibu. Really appreciate it. And for the listeners, if you're short of time and you're looking to rush, always scan the QR code and you can book a session with Subu and I in the next coming days. So, Subu, back to you.
Absolutely. This is exactly how it is reflecting, right? Taking how we are looking at from an individual goal to an enterprise wide goals, right? So from the study that we have, like, why 26% has moved beyond an experimentation phase, that's a strong question that everyone would want to reflect upon. So technically, even further, Even further, if you look at the scaled production infrastructure, that's just the 10% is what's coming in. So you do have a lot of opportunities that are out there. You do have significant tools. You do have significant experience that is still being kept at an experimentation phase, where you are getting value, but at an individual level. But imagine there are hundreds of billions of dollars which is going to be taken up from the individual level to an organization wide level with the scale that we were talking about. And technically, the struggle is real. The struggle definitely is real. Be it in silos, be it in governance, be it with behavior, be it with guidelines, be it with compliance, any aspect, the real struggle is there. But technically, you are now looking at a platform that's going to give you how you would want to keep up with all the associated aspects that I just mentioned, and subsequently get to the value of how you can deliver an enterprise grade solution at scale. On to the next slide. When we are looking at every single organization, uh, this is you who are is listening to this can very well relate that to any customer that you go, what is a priority? I'm sure that 100 out of 100 customers would say AI is one of their priorities. So the executives are listing that as a priority. No doubt about this. I want to have AI to be used for productivity. I want AI to be used for this. I want to be used AI for that, etc. So there is always a use case that is going to associate you as a customer, which would want the transformation to be happening through AI. Why? Because AI has seen much better results. AI has seen much better traction about how you would want to implement. It is more approachable right now. But is that all? Right? That very strategy is not translated to return on investment. So, from the 75% of executives that have been discussed with implementing AI as top strategy, there are hardly a third of it is who are getting converted to a real ROI for it. So now, what is the problem? Is it the approach that the problem, or is it the platform that you're using the problem, or is it too many information? Is that the problem, right? Now let's find what is one of those problems out there. Like six challenges is what we drive upon. So for me, if you ask me what is the problem that I'm more worried about, I'm more worried about, from a personal front, I'm more worried about the fragmentation that is out there. You do have a multitude of systems that are out there, which adds to the integration complexity. So these two are like a very, very significant problem that I have seen. Again, relating to the example that I said, this particular customer had around 160, 50 to 160 agents that they were finding it very useful, but they were not finding it connected to get more value out of it. To look through a few of them, right? You have unclear use cases. You would have like a very small use case, like just what we mentioned about that translates about that transcribes all the meetings. It's a very simple use case, but a very powerful use case. Imagine a situation where a person is going through the entire set of recordings to look at the action items, or how to taking notes, or how do you want to look at. Imagine a person is able to save 10 minutes of their time, look for a thousand 1,000 employee organization. 10 minutes per employee, which means 10,000 minutes, human minutes, that you are translating. That is hours of savings that you have, close to 250 to 300 hours of savings, or more than that when it comes to that. So you define the use cases, you take care of the fragmentation, you do have costing and life cycle challenges that you have, which is very, very much kind of a broader aspect that you're covering. Then you have complexity when it comes to a multitude of tools. Then you have to go through the knowledge that you have to impart, and finally all of these covering up the regulatory risks that you have. So how you want to take up all these problems with the GenAI implementation or agentic implementation is one key aspect that you will, or that we will be covering throughout this particular session. This is exactly the problem: fragmentation, right? So how you see the whole of your ecosystem with individual use cases, individual solutions driving these particular problem statements to completion, individual sources that is actually causing you much larger hours of learning, etc. From this, if we can create a solution like this, which is just the next slide, of course, if we could look at this as a solution, that's what Orchestrate offers to you. Orchestrate's USP is many. You can see this as like uh, being agnostic about what your source is, being agnostic about how you are connecting to each of these systems, being agnostic about where you deploy each of the solutions that you have built, being agnostic about what are the protocols that are involved, being agnostic about how you would want to look from one scale or one hyperscaler to another. All of these problems can be addressed through WatsonX Orchestrate. So, agentic AI orchestrated for business is what Orchestrate stands for. Moving on to the next slide, how do we make this possible, right? We make this possible through the availability of open-ended protocols, which are A2A, MCP, agent gateways, model gateways, etc. So, if you look at the larger scope or larger ecosystem that are out there, almost all of the agentic ecosystem completely rely upon a very similar protocol like A2A that is going to be causing problems as well as simplicity for you to integrate. So from where you start with the engagement channel, through the agents that are orchestrating tasks for you, through the connectors that are making it realistic for you to look for and implement whatever that you have implemented at your a workplace to a much larger scale, how you would want to have agents connected through MCP or A2A or any similar protocol, makes it simpler within Orchestrate through a low code interface to help supporting these particular protocols from design to execution. That's what we stand for. And how do we make it realize, right? So, you as a builder, so let me just take through the different personas that we have. Inside Orchestrate, there are predominantly two personas who are going to be building, deploying, and executing your agentic AI strategy. One is an agent builder persona. We have two splits: an agent persona who is hard into engineering, hard into development, etc., who is a pro code persona. And there is an agent builder person who is no code, who can make use of the no code platform, low code, no code platform out there. We cater to both of these personas out. So you have a builder persona, then you have an end user persona who's going to consume the agents that you have built. Technically, an end user should not be worried about what the implementation is there in the backend. The end user should only be worried about, am I getting the right results which I want? An end user should only be worried about how fast am I getting that. An end user should only be worried about, are these correct, not the right results, are these correct in terms of explanation. So for example, what day is today says, if it says yesterday was Monday, it somehow answers it, but is it polite? Is it good enough for you to be satisfied that, okay, this is what I should go for, right? So to answer this particular problem, it is the responsibility of every builder user to say that how I can get rid of these concerns that the end user may have. And Orchestrate as a platform supports you with these three key pillars, which is connect, control, and optimize these particular agents that are being exposed to the end users. To start with, connect. We just explained about the open orchestration part, right? Why open orchestration is important is what is being explained in this particular slide. So here you have Orchestrate that is supporting multi-agent orchestration as a native capability, which is providing you with that extra layer of autonomy with that extra layer of interoperability to enable agents to build on any framework to communicate as well as collaborate. And this interoperability comes with the standardization of provisioning consistent interfaces, which through the standards such as MCP and A2A, which is built on a very fundamental aspect, which is availing you the extensibility to the next level whenever that is ready. So A2A and MCP are the very basic architectures in which the orchestrate it makes it possible for orchestrate to have this particular layer of communication, but at the same time making it extensible and staying simple or staying nimble is where we are very much focusing upon to make the implementation straightforward and the integrations straightforward for the business users as well as the developers. All the 4 points that are up top comes with the layer of security that orchestrate has, which gives the secure communication of data and execution handling between the agents, which is supported with IES 256 protocols, which is supported with all the very required processes that are going to make orchestrate as the safest platform that you can rely upon when you manage each of these connectors and each of these tools that are being brought in. Now, how would this happen, right? On to the next slide also. So we would have orchestrate has a set of pre-built domain agents and tools that are built upon specific use cases which are supporting the different domains such as customer care, HR, productivity, sales, finance, and there are around 13 different domains that are currently supported, which is going to give you a faster runway onto how you would want to quickly go onto the market with respect to each of the agents that are out there. This faster knowledge runway is something which many customers are asking for because people doesn't have the time to look for how custom they would want to build each of these agents, and subsequently how custom they would want to have these available to production. So faster time to production is one of the key aspects that we are solving with respect to bringing these agents or taking these out of the box agents and getting it deployed onto the market. And if you are one of the partners who are listening to it, please do reach out. Just like Steny already signed up to Agent Connect, where we can extend the list of agents that are out there to include your agent. Just how you have a very specific use case, we can include those as a part of the IBM Agent Connect operation. You're on mute, Steny. Maybe.
Yeah, so a quick one. So it's brilliant. You spoke about this, and Gartner reflects this very well as well. So one of the biggest recommendations is start with a high impact, low complexity use case. Now, which of these pre-built agents, say in finance or IT, has delivered the fastest proof of concept results for you as an organization and to your customers? So, to me, time is something that's the best gift that you can give back, right? Because you can be more creative about things that you wanted to improvise onto your personal life as well. So I just wanted to understand a bit more about how IBM is allowing enterprise customers to get on this path of quicker proof of concepts or quicker time to value.
Yep, I think I answered that already. So again, glad that we are covering the set of topics that is of high problem statements, right? Which is very significant as well, because through the pre-built domain agents, what we have, so there are close to 13 different domains that we are catering to currently. I may just read those out. So there are. There are customer care, finance, healthcare, HR, investment, IT, legal, procurement, productivity, research, sales, and supply chain. These are the 13 different domains that we are currently connecting to within Orchestrate. which is going to give you this faster proof of concept, which exactly is with respect to each of the domains that are of high demand. These domain agents have come up as a result of extensive research from the subject matter experts in these relevant domains, and subsequently, these are very valid use cases where each of the end users are having direct problems with. A classic example is HR, right? So the turnaround time for each of these agents when it comes to custom implementations could be even weeks, just like how you started, right? So the from weeks we could even look at hours to get these agents implemented. So if you want to have like an employee support manager, which is one of the agents that are available in the pre-built domain agents, it can answer you all the questions associated to compensation. It can answer you all the questions that you have associated with your leaves, its associated policies, your employee transfer to a different department, to generating documents that you may need for many use cases such as loans or visas or stuff like that. So these use cases have been proven and tested, and this came from as a what do you say, as an information uh, that requires, or a problem that requires to be addressed as soon as possible. So these are the domain agents that are available, which is going to give you practically zero development time, or if you even want to customize it, we do have that option available as well. And what is the builder journey? Exactly what I said. Accelerated time to value. You can preview, observe, and customize how you want to expose those agents to the end customers. And finally, if you want to have like a very specific aspect to be added as a on top of whatever that we offer, that's also possible. And finally, you manage how the users access it. You can have different authentication options available, which is customized to your organizational standards. So you can have an enterprise grade security controls before you deploy it to a channel of end user consumption. Next slide also. So now in the sequence of next slide, we are actually going to show you, if you don't want to use these agents, right? If you still have a very custom use case that's not covered in the define the discover piece, you can come to the no code agent builder, where you will be able to provide details such as how you want to create from a scratch, or if you want to create from a template which is already there. You can describe the details of what this particular agent is for. Then you can add the knowledge. You can connect to a vector store where your knowledge repository is. You can connect to different tool sets. You can define the behavior of each of these agents and craft in the way that how you are connecting to these agents and how you are describing these. In the create agent section, you would provide the name and the description. Define, please note that the way that you define the agent is the way that the agent is going to show up or the behave act. So technically, this requires a very clear and concise interpretation of, or depiction of how you are wanting to this agent to be behaving. And you say in the description section in plain English, there is no custom jargons that you may want to use. With plain English, you would want to see that how your agent wants to behave, how the agent wants to execute as well. From an agent, you add the knowledge where you can connect to a vector store of your choice, or Orchestrate comes in with 10 GB of storage per tenant, where you can upload the files. It already has a pre-vectorization services available for you, and you can connect if you want to connect to an external repository, you can do that as well. Then to the toolset where you can add the agents or add the tools with individual applications that you have, for example, success factors, Workday, or any of the tools that you may have within, or even Oracle databases. Also, you'll be able to connect it. You will be able to connect an MCP server. You will be able to build a flow of execution through connecting different tools out there. You can even connect an external agent also. This is where you specify how the agent should behave, behavior and guidelines, where you have to provide the instruction on how the agent should be behaving. If there are any restrictions around it, which you put it through guidelines. A classic example is you don't want to show the details of PIIs to the end customer. So you would want to mask that. You would want to put them as asterisks or put them as dots, and you can put the guidelines saying that if at all uh, there is an email address or a telephone number that is coming in, mask the first 10 digits or mask the first 8 digits and then show the rest as stars, whatever that could be. So that is where you specify the guidelines. And finally, if you want to build it in a pro code way, you all also have something what we call as an agent development kit, which is pretty much the same functionality as how we build the agents using low code. It is definitely a developer centric approach that is going to help you with building Python tools or building Python or OpenAPI tools, which is going to be interacting with Orchestrate as a platform. ADK is available with these commands that is going to help you with any specific aspects that you would want to build for an AI agent through agents, tools, toolkits, knowledge bases, and everything possible to be controlled in a programmatic manner. Orchestrate ADK comes with Langflow integrated. Langflow is a rapid prototyping tool which is through a company that IBM acquired called DataStax. If you are a developer who is actually working on very individual use cases, this relates to the scale option that we had provided earlier, which you can take it and implement it inside Orchestrate as a tool or as an agent. Orchestrate or Langflow rather comes in with pre-built components, like as you see on the left-hand side of the components tab, where it comes with different data pipelines, it comes with different prompts, it comes with different embeddable infrastructures that would allow you for a drag and drop interface for a rapid prototyping. Now, it's a purely developer-centric tool. So if you are a developer who wants to extend your Langflow implementations to Orchestrate, please do reach out to us, and we'll be able to happy to help us out. The next part is a tool flow builder. Now, the fundamental question comes in, like, what is the difference between a line flow and the tool flow builder? Those both of them seem to be specific, right, to the flow builder, and how would that be different? Now, a line flow is where you will have external components, whereas tool flow is would be having the components that are internal to Orchestrate. So, for example, if you have a tool that is deployed within Orchestrate, you cannot take Langflow and stitch the tools together, but instead you can use a tool flow builder, which is very much connecting to each of your tools or each of your agents that are being built. On top of it, if you want to bring in a human in the loop, that is also pretty much possible. So to summarize, the difference between the Langflow and Orchestrate is, if your operations control is outside Orchestrate, use Langflow. If your control of operations is inside Orchestrate, you use the tool flow builder to connect to different operational sets or operational tools that you would want to come and stitch together as like a piece of flow. Now comes the easy part, right? Controlling what you have built. Now, every one of us, right, we are now looking at a world which is kind of very much constricted. And yesterday I was going through a session on cybersecurity, right? This presenter said very openly that what is one thing that we don't want when you have an open world, which is control. If you work out in a much larger way, where you are without control, then things could go haywire. So that is exactly what we are doing here, where we are bringing in specific pointers which would control the flow of execution, which would bring in specific pointers to get yourself compliant, get yourself enforced to the policy that you may have within your business. Now, this is a great point where it could raise a lot of eyebrows. Why I didn't include knowledge as a part of Connect, right? So knowledge is obviously a connection source, but when it comes to knowledge, the point here becomes reliability. So When it comes to reliability, you cannot say you cannot leave that control out to the LLM, stating that okay, you take that particular question and answer it from anywhere that you wish. So in order for us to make sure that we are giving relevant answers, reliable answers, that is why we have brought in knowledge as a set of information that the end users can be trusted upon, and subsequently generating meaningful answers which states the same language as what it is being spoken inside your organization. And control comes with connections also. Control, onto the next slide please, Srini. Control comes in with behavior. Like I said previously, if you want to transfer the operations with specifically focusing on how you want to bring in as a part of your organization, that is where the behavior and the guidelines come in. And when we move to the next slide, we can see that transfer of control is also possible through connections as well as the credentials part. Now, this very specific point helps you connect with how your organization is bringing in that layer of security around tools as well as agents. That is where you define what the connection is. So, for example, if you are defining it an API key, you define it as an API key for the connections. Once the end user is invoking that particular tool or agent, this API key connection would be enforced, whereas the user would be required to provide the relevant API key to invoke that particular tool at the experience level. So there are multiple set of connections that could be configured, such as API key. You can configure SSO, bearer tokens, authorization codes such as username and password, etc. Those are the relevant set of connections that secure the agents and the tools that are out there inside Orchestrate to take you ensure that your data is protected, and at the same time you are getting only the right level of access that is out there needed for you as an end user. Now comes the most important part, which is how you optimize the output of each of these agents. Now, connecting the agent is how it becomes the framework. Controlling the agent is enforcing whatever that you are building up to a very specific precision, up to a very specific user that is there in mind, which is going to centralize the operations only to the relevant people. When it comes to optimize, it has to take in the feedback and evolve, right? You cannot give answers, incorrect answers every time. You cannot give half cooked answers every time. So continuous learning is the way where you see optimize being taking the shape. To fix the issues, look at the business metrics, uh, monitor the cost which are required for how you want to see a version 1 today to a version 10 2 years down the line. So that evolution arc is what we are talking about when it comes to optimize.
So I have a quick question, but to our listeners who are out on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, feel free to ask questions in the comment section. Sheila from our marketing team is actively monitoring, and she'll send that through. So, Subbu, a final question. So all of these is alluding to that it requires proper governance and observability. And I'm just picking Gartner here because it stresses on the agentic AI governance success factor. It's not about building, right? It's about monitoring and improving continuously. So how does IBM WatsonX, unify, orchestrate, and governance uh, to a closed loop?
Right. So Orchestrate has something what we call as agent ops out there. So agent ops is what unifies Orchestrate as well as governance, with giving you very specific guidelines on how your agent is performing, how your agent is managing, the cost of your agent is managed, etc. So agent ops, which we are covering in the next slide, is the right answer to that. So throughout the agent development lifecycle, where each of these steps would require very specific uh, metrics that requires to be monitored so that nothing slips out of your hand, right? So the implementation is important. the evaluation of that implementation is even more important, because you don't want to have an agent reaching to production that is giving you incorrect answers, where you have a wrong model that is being chosen, where you have where you don't have the relevant set of metrics that tracks the governance or any of the behavior as such. So technically you are looking at a very tightly coupled loop, which is going to allow you to have your agents monitored at each steps of its development, even post development also. Once you are at the deploy and the manage phase, you will be able to look at individual metrics like the ones that we have in the next slide, which is going to give you relevant actionable insights. Move on to the next slide, please, Srini, where it is going to give you relevant actionable insights, such as drift and anomaly detector, one example which is there in this, which is going to give you a peace of mind of how the agent is performing, and if at all the agent is not performing, you can take that and refine your strategy. What it is also going to give you is a set of governed catalog. Like I was again to referring to that 150 agent customer, they did have something called as a CISO team, security inspection, something CISA, security inspection and security audit team, where they had defined a process lifecycle, um, that every agent that is within this particular registry prompt, or the agent registry, had to go with a set of tools or set of agents that were pre-approved by this particular CISA board. So they had to go through they had to look through multiple metrics, they had to look through multiple behavioral patterns, and they had to look through multiple aspects within the agent, with security, compliance, authentication, all these things. And once they had a go, then only they were able to publish this to their production. So AI Ops is one such platform where you can create, govern, and manage these particular agents, which is going to look at as like a very tightly coupled infrastructure, which is allowing you to look this from an operational, not just an operational point of view, but a satisfaction point of view of how the agents are built and deployed are according to the standards we choose. And this is where we look at the progressive stages of an observability, right? You start with the pre-production or the developmental evaluation of how your agents are performing with respect to the response quality, with respect to the LLM expectations, with respect to how your agents are connected to the right sources, or have you defined the behavior and everything correctly, etc. Now, from a pre-production evaluation, you go to a governed catalog where you look at the performance of that particular agents inside the draft environment, to look at how you are looking at the quality. Is it generating more tokens than it expected? And just on this point of tokens, Orchestrate is following a message approach than a tokens approach, which we can further explore and look it up later. But nevertheless, token consumption is a key issue that is coming up. And once it is deployed, then it comes to the production monitoring, how your agents are working with respect to hallucination, or is it the performance deteriorating over the time, how the answers are coming in. So whatever that you're seeing on the right hand side is the comprehensive dashboard that we provide, which is going to give you much more metrics, such as the cost, the feedback, how much of the user feedback is positive versus negative when it comes to the LM responses, etc. Interestingly, this is not just staying at a high level. If you see something what we see as traces, this is giving you a complete control of each of the messages that were provided, each of the messages that were responded as well. And AI Ops, to summarize, would give you starting from how the agents were designed, to how the agents were deployed, and further to how the agents are monitored at a trace level over the time inside the production. So that is what Agent Ops comes in. To summarize, this is the answer to your question that you asked me. Watson Orchestrate plus Watson Governance. It gives the integrated value. It gives a unified experience between um, uh, between Orchestrate as well as the .gov capabilities, and there is no additional infrastructure that is required. It is coming in built with Orchestrate, whatever that you are purchasing. It gives you powerful metrics with hundreds of evaluation metrics about performance, safety, monitoring, guardrails, etc. And it's giving you actionable recommendation of how you are guiding with the root cause analysis and how you can good for improvement, how you can have a real-time monitoring, which would give you the detailed explanation about source or attributions or predictions of whatever that it has been explained about. I think that is all what we have today. I believe we may just try to the next slide.
Yeah,
I think that's all we have
yeah,
for today.
yeah. That's yeah, pretty much that's what we have. So, but I have a quick question. I mean, something that we may have looked at a bit on the side, and I could see one of the comments that came in, but it was personally alluding to me. But looking at their industry, voice, how can we bring in voice information onto Orchestrate and build that ecosystem of taking the interface from a customer service, throwing and going back to the customers, interacting with ERP? How does Orchestrate helps in that
Yeah,
scenario?
excellent question there. So Orchestrate has a pre-built integration possible. Like you as a builder can go to the connections, just like how you've gone to the connections. You can configure a speech to text or a text to speech voice configuration out there that is further integratable to phone as well. So through the set of connectors that you have, you can define a configuration that is solely reliant upon your voice configurations for SCT and TTS, and subsequently that can be integrated through agents, which could further be invoked for like a voice responsing as well. The model is pretty much the same as how you chat. The only difference is you have now a layer of STT TTS, which is going to interact with agents and give you the responses out there. So it is pretty comprehensive, and the channels do support that as well.
Perfect. Now, two scenarios, Subbu. The market that we lead with, most of the business communications happen through WhatsApp.
Right.
Can WhatsApp be
Yeah.
integrated as a front end to
Yes.
the natural language conversation? Okay.
Yes. So, Steny, if I may please ask, go back to I think the seventh or eighth slide, where we have the unification of all the through with Orchestrate there from a yeah, just before this. Yeah, just after this. Just after this. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So here, if you look at this, right, we inside Orchestrate, we don't care about where the solution is deployed. Orchestrate already has a very strong API presence, which is going to help you with this particular integration of Orchestrate into any channel. We are compatible with WhatsApp. We are compatible with Facebook Messenger. We are compatible with the Slack, Teams, or any enterprise grade system that could currently be used inside any of our customers' thing and infrastructure. And more importantly, if you don't want to use any of these channels, Orchestrate provides you with an embed script that can go into as a chatbot inside your web page, and that integration is also supported with voice as well. So to answer your question, WhatsApp is definitely possible. And on top of it, we are providing you additional options about where the integration can be agnostic of the common infrastructure layer.
Perfect. Thanks. So there's a question that has come up from Alan. My organization has invested into cloud. Um, now, what's how does it compare to um, cloud with Orchestrate, and can I integrate cloud into Orchestrate?
Yes. So we just recently brought in the news of a partnership between Cloud, Anthropic in general, and with Orchestrate, where Anthropic models would be possible of how you can bring in Anthropic models for your responses as well. So you are now looking at a broader spectrum of your implementations with Anthropic, which could be seamlessly integrated with Orchestrate as a platform. Again, which is following up to A2A and all the ACP standards that we discussed earlier. It's not just Claude model. Claude for Code also has been certified to be integrated with Orchestrate as well. To summarize in a broader context, Orchestrate is not ripping and replacing whatever the systems that you already have. Orchestrate as a platform is complementing each of the investments that you already have made, which subsequently extends the value that you have to from whatever that we discussed a couple of slides before, the one that is on the screen, from a developer mindset to an enterprise-wide scaled mindset.
Perfect. So what that means is, if I have invested into OpenAI, DeepSeek, whatever that may be,
Yep. Yep.
Orchestrate allows me as an organization to take advantage of those to be brought forward and have build the orchestration layer that I require.
Pretty much, yes.
Perfect. Thank you. So let me come back to what I've started off with. Basically, what we saw, Gartner's quoting to the CIOs were for 2026, be ready for the year of ROI. Now we understand a platform like this, what are the possibilities and how quickly we can get into, especially in terms of governance, security, and everything. And direct path to value, absolutely yes. A clear AI roadmap, yes. Upskilling, and data management aspect of it. So if you're watching this replay, and or you're on live, and if your organization is still piloting AI or are looking for scaling your AI, now is the time. I would say get in touch with Subbu or I, and we can walk you through in a session of 1 or 2 hours on the areas where, in our conversation, what we identify are the best low-hanging fruits on a quicker ROI, get you onto organizations that we have been working with, which I've shared in the start of the webinar. They have moved well in advance, where they are now looking and beyond what they've already done, scaling into the next use case for them. To start with, I'm going to to end this webinar with Subbu and I'm going to give you two QR codes, which basically, if you have an idea that you wanted to discuss, I would scan on to the QR code, and we'll book some time with you, walk you through, we'll understand, we'll listen, and we'll come up with what works best for you, and we'll walk you through what's your roadmap as well. Now, if you believe you're not there yet, more than happy to take the trial, experiment yourself. With that, I'm signing off. My name is Tenny Sebastian. And Subbu, thank you so much. Very well informative sessions. Like to have you for our next one, which is coming up in a couple of
Thank you.
weeks. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day. Thanks, everyone. Take
Thanks, everyone.
care.
Bye.
Bye for now.